Hi there, I'm Mike McLean, and today I want to spend just a couple of minutes going over the Windows 11 network settings with you. And it's pretty easy to get to these. All you have to do is go to the Start menu, and we go to our Settings buttons, the little gear. And on the left-hand side, you'll see Network and Internet. I'm going to go to that. And here are the network connections for my desktop computer. So let's take a look and see how we can configure these. Looking at the top, this lets me know I am at Network and Internet, and I'm connected by Wi-Fi. I've named my connection Fuzzy Bunny, simply because here's a little security tip. Don't use anything identifiable for your mobile Wi-Fi. You really don't want anybody to be able to figure out where exactly you're coming from or who you are. That can make you vulnerable. So I just use a kind of a random word, and I like Fuzzy Bunny. So I'm connected, and I've got a secured connection. Properties, this is a private network, which is what I want for my internal network. And I'm connecting over the 5 gigahertz range. There are two primary ranges for wireless networks, 5 gigahertz and 2.4 gigahertz. And 2.4 gigahertz is the much more common one that's used. It's the older one. 5 gigahertz does not have nearly as much traffic on it with different devices. And if I click on this, a couple things I want you to notice is, first of all, up here, there's actually a network path. We started at Network and Internet, and I clicked to directly go to Fuzzy Bunny. Well, Fuzzy Bunny is actually located under Wi-Fi. And this is also clickable, so you can use this to navigate around the settings quite easily. So here's my Fuzzy Bunny properties. I can look at my network password from here, which I'm not going to show you. I've got this set to connect automatically when in range, which for a desktop system isn't all that important. It becomes much more relevant if you're using your laptop or mobile device and you'll want it to connect when you're in range. I have this set up for a private network because this is the network in my home. So your device is discoverable on the network. My other devices can find this desktop. If this is a mobile device and I was using it on a public, I would connect to I would have it set up for public network, in which case most connections to this device is turned off. With private network, they're turned on because only your own devices should be able to see you. And we have where we could go in and configure our firewall and security settings. I'm not going to go there. There's not that much to look. It just lets me know that my firewall is on and my security settings are turned on. Metered connection, which doesn't really have that much relevance anymore. That was important back when we had dial-up and you were paying by the bit for your connections. Random hardware addresses. You can turn this on so that it would actually spoof the hardware address of your computer when you go off into the internet. Spoofing means it would provide a fake address, and it makes it a little harder for people to track you. I don't use that myself. I don't really get that any benefit from it. IP assignment, it automatically gets an IP address for me. Same with whatever DNS server that I'm using. And here's a little more information about it. My SSID, my wireless ID, is Fuzzy Bunny. I'm using a Wi-Fi 6 or 802.11ax. That's the wireless protocol I'm using. Security, I'm using a WPA2 personal password, which is what you want. And then a little bit about the hardware that it's using. 5 gigahertz. The aggregated speed is 1,201 megabits per second. Essentially, that means it's a gigabit connection. IPv6 address. Here's my IP address, IP version 4, which is an internal address. And talking about that is a little bit beyond the scope of this. Well, we'll probably talk about that a little bit later. And here's the physical address of my network adapter. I can go to advanced Wi-Fi network properties from here. And this brings up the old interface from Windows. Again, I'll connect automatically when this network's in range. And I can set my password here. Encryption type is AES. Security type is WPA2 personal. That's what you want. And advanced settings doesn't bring you to much of anything. Just enable FIPS compliance with this network. Nothing we need to be concerned about. Okay, I am going to go back to Network and Internet. Data usage. This lets me know over the last month I've used about 7 gigs of data. And this lets me know exactly how much I've done. Looks like Adobe, when it updated, used 2.5 gigabits. Windows updates, I've used a couple, and then it goes down from here. So you can see exactly which apps you're using that are transmitting data over the internet. I'm going to go back to Advanced Network Settings. You'll see that this took me under Advanced Network Settings for data usage. If I click on the little 3 here, I can go all the way back to Network and Internet, which I'll do that right now. Okay, and here's the things I can look at. Wi-Fi, I do have it turned on. I could turn it off if I wanted to. And if I click on that, this takes me again to the Wi-Fi settings. Here's the Fuzzy Bunny properties, which we just looked at. Again, you see this takes me automatically that way. I'm going to go back one. Show available networks. I'm connected to Fuzzy Bunny. This is my network. This is the one I want. But this also shows me the networks that it could pick up in my neighborhood. These are my neighbors, what they're broadcasting. Okay, manage no networks. Here's something I really wanted to let you know about, because manage no networks lets you look at all of the networks that your device has detected. Now, not that important on a desktop computer like this one. It's picked up that Sneaky Ferret. That is a router that I use when I travel, and I've connected it up to this to test it. So it knows about that one. It knows I'm on my phone if I use that for a hotspot. And it knows about Sleepy Weasel, which is another travel network that I've used. And of course, Fuzzy Bunny. Again, not that big of a deal for a desktop system. However, if you travel and you use your laptop to connect to hotels, you might want to check this out. When I first found out about this, I looked at my laptop, and I must have had 100 different networks from different hotels and places that I've stayed at that were all in here. And they'll stay here permanently until you tell it to forget. So just something to know about. It's also a good thing to check out for security to see if your device is connected to a network you didn't know about, just in case another security thing, just in case somebody unknown to you got into your system. I'm going to go back to Wi-Fi. Hardware properties, here's again, the information about the actual hardware adapter. We looked at some of this earlier. And we get random hardware addresses, which we just looked at a little bit. And that is, down here, that's all for the Wi-Fi. Then we have the Ethernet. I do have an Ethernet connection on this computer that I'm not using. So if I wanted to plug an Ethernet cable directly into my router, I could do that and turn this on. Right now, it's not connected, so it doesn't really give me any information. VPN. I could control a VPN from here, a virtual private network. I don't have one here, so I'm not using this for anything. Again, something that's not really that important for a desktop computer, but I could turn this into a mobile hotspot. If I wanted to, I'd turn this on and I could show my internet connection to another device. Airplane mode. Again, not really important for a desktop system. Important if you've got a mobile device and you're using it while you're traveling. And then a proxy server, which is something that's been around forever. If you wanted to set up a internal server on your network, most people don't do that anymore, or use a dial-up connection. And advanced network settings, here is all the things that you can see at once. Again, Ethernet, the Wi-Fi connection, Bluetooth network connection. You can actually use Bluetooth to create a small internal connection if you wanted to. More settings, advanced sharing settings. And here's where I can set up private networks and public networks. Again, you're probably going to want to use a private network for most things. Yeah, private networks, network discovery is on, and it'll set up network connected devices automatically. And I've got file and print sharing turned on. A public network, that's all turned off. So you can't be seen by other people when you're out there on a public network. all networks. I can set it up for password protected sharing so that anybody on my network, that would be Carolyn, would have to do a password if she wanted to use something like shared files printers. She would be really mad at me if I set up a password user printer, so I'm not going to do that. And advanced network settings. Again, data usage, hardware and connection properties, which we've looked at, and network reset. This is a fast way that I can reset. If I'm having problems with my network, I can do a reset here. And this will basically restart the PC, and that will definitely reset everything. And from here, I can go to Windows Firewall and Internet Options. I'm using defaults on all those, so we're all good. And then, of course, help information if we needed that. And back to network and internet, and that is everything from that. So that's where your network and internet connections are when you're on your Windows 11 computer. I hope this is helpful, and I'll see you later.